All right, let's take a look at your business news. A black economic power deal negotiated by ArcelorMittal is under fire. There's been criticism that the deal is not broad enough and will not benefit black business people or their employees.
In a black economic empowerment deal, ArcelorMittal awarded a 26% stake to Ayugobi Consortium. The deal has been mired in controversy as President Jacob Zuma's son, Duduzane, is a major stakeholder in Ayugobi Consortium. On the back of this, industry experts say the deal was not transparent and was open to political interference. They have gone further to say the $12 million deal falls short of BEE requirements as it fails to empower black business people and employees. The deal does not include elements of broad-based BEE such as developing employee skills. And ArcelorMittal has the option of buying back the shares after 4 years, provided the company maintains its current BEE rating. Even if they don't sell in 4 years, there is a 20-year expiry date. According to industry leaders, this is not substantive black empowerment. They say the once empowered, always empowered clause does not exist in South Africa's BEE codes.
And meanwhile, other sectors of the economy are also facing black economic empowerment troubles. Car care manufacturer Shield Chemicals could lose shelf space in leading retailers across the continent. This over revelations it submitted a fake BEE scorecard to a Johannesburg Stock Exchange listed retailer. Shield was caught out by the date on the scorecard as it shows that the company was rated in November 2010, a date that is still to come. Shield's impropriety could see the company lose millions of US dollars in contracts. The verification company whose scorecard was used by Shield has distanced itself from the company. It has confirmed it will no longer do business with Shield. Joining us now is the Chief Executive, Keith Levenstein of BEE Consultancy Econo BEE, to discuss the ArcelorMittal saga. Kevin, thank you very much for joining us on E-News Africa. Firstly, what are the requirements for a mining company when it comes to BEE? And more significantly, Kevin, the workforce, how is the workforce considered in structuring these deals?
Well, broad-based black economic empowerment is an economic policy of South Africa. It is measured by means of a BEE scorecard. There are 7 elements that goes into that particular scorecard. In the case of ArcelorMittal, they could have chosen any of the 7 elements in order to earn points. One would have been, of course, ownership, management control, another one, employment equity, skills development, procurement, enterprise development, as well as socio-economic development. All those together build up a scorecard which is rated out of 100 points. In the case of this particular deal, ArcelorMittal have stated that this is a broad-based black economic empowerment deal. And we don't see it as being very broad-based. It only concentrates on one element of the scorecard, being ownership. And within the ownership element, they haven't maximized the points that they could possibly have earned. So this deal could potentially be costing them anywhere between 2 billion to 9 billion South African rands in order to earn potentially a maximum of only 4.95 points out of 23.
Now, Kevin, how does this affect the mining sector as an entirety?
The mining sector has its own problems and issues. Broad-based black economic empowerment applies to South African businesses, but at the same time, the Mining Charter or the Mining Act has set its own requirements to mining houses, including ArcelorMittal. And in the case of the Mining Act, they do have a requirement that 26% of ownership be in the hands of black people. And this is where the contradiction lies, and this is the quandary that ArcelorMittal had. They wanted to make this a broad-based scheme, but at the same time they needed to show that they had ownership of 26% in the hands of black people. This is our criticism of the Mining Act and the Mining Charter, in that it isn't reconciled with broad-based elements. So in a way they don't have to bother about the rest of broad-based black economic empowerment. In fact, the Mining Charter is not a broad-based or a black economic empowerment policy in the first place.
Is this how it differs from the genetic code?
Exactly so. The generic codes have those 7 elements. The Mining Act, which is intended, of course, to try and benefit and transform the economy. It doesn't follow the exact same set of codes. It is a contradiction. And in fact, in the case of ArcelorMittal's case, they are a mining house, but they're also not a mining house. Which set of codes do they follow?
Yeah, sure, it's quite a contentious issue. Keith, now looking at other business stories making headlines within similar sort of issues, Shield Chemical's story, for instance, for producing a fake BEE scorecard. How on earth can such a thing be regulated in the industry?
It's a difficult one. The intention is for each company that receives a scorecard from any of its suppliers to evaluate and to look at that scorecard. Nowadays, all scorecards need to be produced and verified by a set of organizations known as the accredited verification agencies, of which there are about 42 companies throughout the country. And each one of those certificates would have a stamp proving that they are accredited by the SANAS organization of South Africa, which is...
Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense. But Keith, thank you very much for joining us on E-News Africa for clarifying all of this for us.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
All right. That was Keith Levenstein, the Chief Executive of BEE, and just to give us some insight into BEE deals and exactly how they should be structured. All right, well, coming up on E-News Africa in your sport news.